Coming up on 5 Minute News. Congress overrides Trump veto of defense bill. US surpasses 20 million COVID-19 cases. And Brexit is nothing to celebrate, says Ireland's foreign minister. It's Saturday, January 2. I'm Anthony Davis. Congress yesterday overrode President Donald Trump's veto of a defense policy bill, a first by lawmakers since he took office nearly 4 years ago, ensuring that the measure becomes law. In an extraordinary New Year's Day session, the Republican-controlled Senate easily turned aside the veto, dismissing Trump's objections to the $740 billion bill and handing him a stinging rebuke just weeks before he leaves the White House. The 81-13 vote in the Senate on the widely popular defense bill followed an earlier 322-87 override vote in the House. The bill affirms a 3% pay rise for US troops and guides defense policy, cementing decisions about troop levels, new weapons systems, and military readiness, personnel policy, and other military goals. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi said the sweeping and overwhelmingly bipartisan votes in the House and Senate delivered a resounding rebuke to President Trump's reckless assault on America's military and national security. Instead of keeping Americans safe, the president continues to use his final moments in office to sow chaos and undermine our security. Trump vetoed the defense measure last week, saying it failed to limit Twitter and other social media companies he claimed were biased against him during his failed re-election campaign. Trump also opposed language that allows for the renaming of military bases that honor Confederate leaders. Rhode Island Senator Jack Reed, the top Democrat on the Senate Armed Services Committee, called Trump's veto a parting gift to Russian President Vladimir Putin and a lump of coal for our troops. US Senator Mitt Romney urged the US government on Friday to immediately enlist veterinarians, combat medics and others in an all-out national campaign to administer coronavirus vaccinations and slow a surging rise in COVID-19 hospitalizations and deaths. The Utah Republican called for greater action as the Trump administration fell far short of its goal of vaccinating 20 million Americans with the first of 2 required doses by the end of 2020. As of Friday, the first day of the new year, an estimated 2.8 million vaccine doses have actually been given, mostly to frontline healthcare workers as well as staff and residents of nursing facilities. That comprehensive vaccination plans have not been developed at the federal level and sent to the states as models is as incomprehensible as it is inexcusable, Romney said in a statement. The United States has lost more than 345,000 lives from COVID-19, equal to 1 in every 950 Americans, and ranks 16th in national per capita coronavirus deaths in the world. Meanwhile, the tally of known US infections reached another sober milestone on Friday, surpassing 20 million confirmed cases since the start of the pandemic, and the number of hospitalized COVID-19 patients exceeded 125,000, setting a daily record once more. California, the most populous state with 40 million residents, has become the latest flashpoint despite some of the nation's toughest restrictions on social gatherings and business activities. The soaring COVID caseload has pushed hospitals in and around Los Angeles in particular to their limits, filling emergency rooms, intensive care units, ambulance bays, and morgues beyond their capacity. Medical experts attribute the worsening pandemic in recent weeks to the arrival of colder weather and the failure of many Americans to abide by public health warnings and requirements to stay home and avoid unnecessary travel over the year-end holiday season. With the inauguration of Democratic President-elect Joe Biden set for January 20th, Mitt Romney has emerged as one of the few leading members of his party to openly criticize fellow Republican Donald Trump. Trump has repeatedly emphasized that he, not Biden, deserves credit for the speedy development of the vaccine, even as he left immunization efforts largely to state and local officials to administer with the help of private pharmacies. Trump has spent the weeks since his November 3rd re-election defeat rarely focused, at least in public, on the worsening pandemic. Instead, he has continued to make unsubstantiated claims of widespread voter fraud, while falsely asserting that he won the election. Joe Biden has vowed to use the Defense Production Act to boost the vaccination program and to send mobile vaccination units to help deliver shots in underserved areas. Brexit is not something to celebrate, Ireland's Foreign Minister Simon Coveney declared after the UK formally severed ties with the EU, as he warned of trading disruptions due to fresh red tape. In stark contrast to Boris Johnson's buoyant characterisation of the country's future following the end of the transition period at 11 p.m. on Thursday, Coveney painted the UK's departure as a source of regret. Calling it the end of an era, Coveney said trade across the Irish Sea would be disrupted by an awful lot more checks and declarations, and bureaucracy and paperwork, and cost and delays. But on Friday, as the first ferries arrived in the Republic of Ireland from Britain under the new post-Brexit trade rules, events appeared to unfold smoothly. Meanwhile, the first ferries also sailed in and out of the port of Dover uneventfully, although it is thought the real test is yet to come, as the new year is typically quiet and importers had been stockpiling products before the end of the transition period. Despite Downing Street securing a trade deal with Brussels on Christmas Eve, which was subsequently fast-tracked through Parliament on Wednesday as MPs approved a bill making the agreement UK law, Coveney warned there would still be trade issues. In France, the President Emmanuel Macron used his New Year's Eve message to take aim at Brexit, calling it the product of lies and false promises. You can subscribe to 5 Minute News on YouTube with your preferred podcast app. Ask your smart speaker or enable 5 Minute News as your Amazon Alexa flash briefing skill. Subscribe, rate and review online at 5minute.news. 5 Minute News is an Evergreen podcast covering politics, inequality, health and climate, delivering independent, unbiased and essential world news daily.